you know. And you know, I didn't come here to shoot crows. That's not my mission in life, you know, but they were irritating. And there are a bunch of them, you know. There are a lot of crows around. You'd be surprised at how many crows, if you counted the number of crows that exists in this area. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, there's a lot of crows up there, and so I'm thinking, well, what can I do? And so I went in, I decided, okay, I went in and I got some food out of the refrigerator that we're wanting to clean out of the refrigerator, and I put it out on the railing. And then I went in the house, and within 10 minutes, all the food was gone. I mean, they came in and ate it, you know, 10 minutes. And so I started just all of the extra food that you normally would throw away, you wouldn't think about, started putting it out on the railing. Well, the crows stopped harassing me. They stopped squawking. They're still sitting in the trees, but they were sitting there patiently, knowing that if they just sat there patiently, that they would get some food. And so the problem was solved. And I didn't have to get a pellet gun. And we don't have to get a pellet, we don't have to shoot our neighbor in order to get along, right? We have to stand. I mean, it's the simple things that are so profound. It's the simple, if we can do it in those simple things, then we can do it in the big things that show up. I'm seriously, that's the way it works. That if we can do it in a simple way, all the little things, just the micro moments in life, that if we can show up in that way, if our mindset is such that we can show up in those micro moments and make a difference, then we empower ourselves to do it in the macro moments, in the big things. And we transform the world. That's how we do it. Piero says that kindness is essential at all levels of education, since we learn more in an atmosphere of warmth and attention than indifference and repression. A child treated with tenderness grows healthily. A student who receives respect and attention can make much progress. In health, too, kindness is a necessary ingredient. Patients who are treated with empathy and care suffer less and heal sooner. They suffer less. We all do. We all heal sooner when we're treated with empathy and respect and love and kindness and all those. Even when we're in fear, when we're disagreeable. Because, you know, we all become disagreeable occasionally. We all snap and do those kinds of things. So even when we're in that space, if we're treated with love and kindness, we snap back into the mindset that we're trying to express in our life and in the world. Can you imagine if you lived in a world where you experience kindness all the time from the people around you? Then there was this mutual respect. Can you imagine if every person on the planet was committed to living in that consciousness? Treating each other with respect is simply, the golden rule is probably the greatest example. You know, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, if we do that in terms of expressing the attributes of God in our life, can you imagine the transformations that would take place in the world if we were all doing it? And the level of vibration, if you want to see it that way, that would occur in the world, and the challenges and the problems and the differences and the issues that would resolve themselves in a loving and natural and appropriate way so that we can transform the world. Remember a couple of years ago, I was asked to do a board retreat in Charlottesville, Virginia for a board, and it was a pretty intense experience for me because I was doing a Thursday night, all day Friday night board retreat, and then Saturday I had to do a retreat for the staff of that particular church, and then Sunday I was speaking. And I remember approaching that experience, and it was a lot on my plate, and I was thinking, and normally, you kind of go into those things and you're just kind of keyed up. And we had the retreat in the mountains outside of Charlottesville, Virginia, and it was at a place called Yogaville, which was founded by Swami Satyananda, who was a disciple of Swami Shivananda, who is the guru, founding guru of the ashram that I have spent time at and who is one of the people that I like to read, the materials I like to read, and the chants I like to do, and that sort of thing. And so we arrived at Yogaville. It's an 1,800-acre compound, or whatever, ashram or retreat center, in the mountains outside of Charlottesville, Virginia, which is where the University of Virginia is. And it's beautiful. You know, all these rolling hills and countryside, and they have this beautiful lotus temple. And I remember showing up there that day, and all this stuff on my mind, as I walked around, and everything was familiar. The books in the bookstore, all the things were. The more I was there, the more comfortable I was. And as I relaxed, and I began to express the attributes of God that I know exist within me, as I began to just show up and be present and put aside my fear of having to be having to be the person for 3 days with all these people, if I just put that aside and just show up. And so I made that decision. I went into that mindset, I put my stuff aside, I showed up, and I had the best experience that I've ever had at a retreat experience. Things just flowed in such a natural way. I've never had that experience before in my life up until that point. And when we set our mind to let go of the things that get in our way, when we open ourselves up and show up, life shows up. Spirit shows up. The attributes of God show up in our experience. If you show up at work on Monday morning and you set aside any fear that you might have about the day, and you show up with a mindset that you're present, fully present, and you're there to express the attributes of God in the words that you write, in the conversations that you have with your coworkers, with the people that you're serving, with whoever it is that you're dealing with, regardless of what it is that you're doing, your day will flow in such an incredibly powerful way that you will be bringing Christ consciousness into the world, and you will be affecting the second coming in the lives of the people around you, and they won't even know it. But they'll feel it, and they'll experience it, and it will literally transform their lives with kindness and joy. We all have our, it's like, I talk about this in terms of, it's all wonderful and great, and we say, well, that's not reality. Well, we all have our realities, right? We all have our moments. It's not that we are able to do this every single moment of every day. That's our desire to do that, but we have our moments. And I remember a while back, I was having an argument with my son Jordan, and we were in it, having this discussion, and Karen, decided she wanted to stop it. And so she jumps in on Jordan's side. And, if the argument, right? So we're going at it, and finally I stopped and I said, now wait a minute. I said, I think, Jordan's like 20 years old, right? I think Jordan's old enough to fight his own fights. So would it be okay if Jordan and I just worked this out?